Switch the flip.
Call the workshop to order.
The first thing on the workshop agenda is the League of Minnesota Cities liability coverage waiver. This is on the agenda for approval. We will approve it, does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability. We do this every year. Anybody have any comments, thoughts on that? Okay, we're going to skip over Adam's Center Avenue update. Had to run home and get a new cord for his computer, so he'll be back. Number 3 on the workshop is Daisy. Help me out with the last Enriquez. She will be coming at 6:30 tonight. I was trying to plan this all out so everything kind of flowed. The last one on the workshop, nothing ever flows. The other thing that's on the workshop for tonight, because of our public hearing that we're calling tonight on the agenda for the public hearing for assessing all delinquent fees and services for 2025 to taxes, that is at the next meeting. But Travis Geyer is requesting right now $18,000 out of Fund 52 to demo 122 Center Avenue South. He would like to do it like we did the Kynes property. And so we would do $18,000 for a 5-year at a 4.5% term. This will be on next EDA meeting and also at the public hearing if the council agrees to do the $18,000. But that would be the house and the garage, clean up the complete property.
Did he say what he has planned for that? Is he gonna redevelop it, or is it?
He doesn't, he's been trying to demo it for many, many years.
Yep.
I think, he had good intentions to flip it. He just knows that he went in there and it's.
Well, it's in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, a little worse than what he was anticipating, and so it's at that point of demolition.
But he put significant amount of money into trying to flip it.
Yeah,
He's gonna keep that?
yep. He's also got some really great stories in regards to what he.
Yeah, I know of them.
No, I get that, I think that needs to be part of our consideration.
Yes, he has already tried to develop the property, but the expenses outweigh what it's worth.
Somebody left some presents behind. Okay.
So at this time, until Adam gets back, would anybody else like, or want to discuss anything on the workshop?
Is there any new updates on the park at all, like for FEMA and all that other stuff?
Right now, well, he took vacation last week, but FEMA comes every single week. And so right now, we have 3 of the categories done. One has been completely submitted. So we have 3 more categories that we will need to be we'll be going through. He'll be here on Wednesday. You just keep on plugging away.
Okay.
The light plant is gonna be making a push to go as much paperless as possible for billing. Is that something we can do here or not?
We can, but it's going to cost. It's quite a bit of money in regards to make that leap. And do you remember the last quotes that we received?
Almost $9,000 or $10,000.
The cost was due to,
That's just the email.
To generate an email bill all the time?
Yeah. To push it through the email. And that was a couple years ago.
So
Who quoted that?
The software.
the software, to have that application to do bill pay online and to do email billing, there's an extra subscription.
you don't have bill pay online options right now,
No,
but you do have ACH
yep,
And we have quite a few that are set up with that.
with ACH.
yep.
Yep, there's,
But even with ACH, you still need a statement.
Right, so one of the pushes they're gonna make is to switch over everybody that's on ACH over to emailed statement.
Mhm.
And then anybody new signing up would have to opt into paper, and otherwise it would just automatically be email.
Glenn, what is CCC used for their, because I know I get email bill from you.
That's why I took a note, I don't know that off the top of my head, I'll find out.
but that goes with our software.
Oh,
I would imagine it's with your software too, Glenn. But we can, I mean, but it's going to be
but how much do we,
additional
on
cost.
average, how much do we spend a year on stamp, envelopes, paper,
Yeah,
time
And
stuff? No.
and that's something that we can run the numbers again and bring it back to you guys, and we can go through it. We're not opposed to anything. If
And I
every-
think when we looked at the numbers last time, it wasn't, so each year you have to pay for the subscription.
That's a maintenance fee.
And I think when we looked at it, it wasn't, I remember it wasn't cost effective at that time, remember that? We looked at that.
Well, the three-party biller, when you click the button online to pay or whatever, there's a lot of additional fees on that too. It's not just the subscription that you have with the software, but it's the third-party, biller on that. Did he break down any of the?
Well, I think we're talking about maybe, they already have online bill pay, so that's separate. But
Yep, but they also just have electric. You know, we have all kinds of other than water here,
Water,
we have all
sewer.
kinds of.
Yeah.
No, and I get that, and I'm not even saying the online bill pay has to be an option. I'm saying,
Doesn't that all go hand in hand though?
not necessarily, because emailed statement could be totally different
And then
because of the fact then it's an electronic, it's just less mailing you have to do. Even if they're printing their statement and sending the bill in.
Yeah, we can run the numbers again. We're not opposed to any of that.
But you're saying the cost is prohibitive because of the online bill pay, not necessarily because of emailed statement.
When we ran the numbers the last time, it was quite a big chunk of change. And to, put that on, we would have to go back and look at our rates and take on an extra expense. So we were trying
But
to,
I wouldn't even necessarily look at the online bill paying, I would just look at
just the email.
email statements
yeah, that's fine.
as an option.
But I do think we should reevaluate it again, because with people nowadays, we gotta take in consideration how many times we go to the phone just to take credit card payment over the phone, you know? I mean, I do my bills at midnight, you know, when I can't sleep, you know, I'd like that option to be able just to click on it and just pay for it, nobody needs to,
But the other thing is part of the reason it came up down there is because their trifold machine is
yeah.
about done. And the cost of a new one is, he quoted like $11,000. Well, if you can or extend the life of that machine by double by doing half,
Mm-hmm.
then realistically, you can, cut costs on that, and not to mention, I think when we're kind of figuring it out, it's close to $2 a statement to send that out. And,
When you consider the labor,
yeah, it's probably more than that, it's probably more than that. And if people are anything like me that have, auto deduction set up, they're not necessarily even looking at that statement, because she mentioned, and I did not know this, that they have been offering a $5 credit for anybody willing to go to email statements for the last 4 months on your bill. Well, I haven't looked at my bill in the last 4 months, so I never even saw that.
yeah.
I'm gonna make a note to myself to call them.
with you on that.
So is this something that, quote unquote, the Medelia Electric isn't a part of the city, but we all know it is, but it's a separate entity? Why isn't it something we can share?
Get your feet off the floor, Jim.
Actually, it took us 10 years to get one built here in Dover. I almost got crucified.
Did you not?
Sorry.
Okay, I'm leaving my feet on the ground, and I don't hold
It's
it.
been discussed before.
Okay, it's been discussed, but why not?
The reasoning hasn't been solid.
Okay, but why
That
not?
was very diplomatically stated. That wasn't solid.
Just because they don't want to, I guess, I don't
Pretty
know.
much.
There hasn't been like a solid reason behind it.
We pay for, 2 subscriptions to the same software. We pay double on pretty much everything when it could possibly be connected.
I'd say,
That's foolish.
yeah.
Because you look at how we run here,
I mean, that is just outright foolish.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I've seen, that there's no logic or reason to the thought process to not go that route, but people are resistant to change, folks. I think that's the short answer to the question.
the accounting system is fully capable of doing it.
Well, I have an idea of why. And to me, it's a city item. I mean, it's owned by the city of Medelia. That's why all the employees are PERA. That is just a solid thing here, so I'm completely confused at any pushback on something that is owned by us. Even though they have their own little regulatory little thing, which is fine, but, we have commission meetings for each and every entity of the city itself, but this doesn't make any sense.
So I think you hit on a key point there.
Well, until somebody calls it out and simply says, enough is enough.
Right, so we have to force it, because they do have a slightly different commission process and the way things channel into the city council. But at the end of the day, the city council still is responsible for what they do. So the mechanism is slightly different, but the function is still the same.
And they pick their own board of directors, and it's not like.
They do not have a board of directors.
Yeah, the MMLP has their own board.
They have a commission, separate.
That's
But that,
that's their board.
but that commission still reports to the city council.
That's what you said on there. You're the.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine, but what I'm saying is, they still have to approve it. I don't know that they will.
They don't, okay, so maybe I'm wrong, and you know this better than I do, but they don't approve anything. They make recommendations, and this council approves it.
I don't think this council's ever approved of MMLP.
But is that because we can't, or because we haven't?
Because you can't.
No, I disagree. That's not.
I'm pretty sure it's by
So
bylaw.
let's, I'm trying to marry.
I opened a can of
I'm
worms.
trying to marry the thoughts of what Phil said and what Glenn said, because the light plant's different than, the city.
The golf commission.
The golf commission, or the wastewater commission, or the street commission, or those other so-called entities that are run by the city. So the light plant's got a different regulatory scheme and has its own board for a reason, where we have a member of the city council sitting on said board. So it would fall on Andy to try to convince them to do what we're suggesting.
And I can definitely bring that up again, but
But if they say no, then the council forces the issue. Because
the council has no power in it, though.
That's why I disagree.
They've got their own bylaws.
I don't believe that's true, that we can force
Okay,
them.
it's been a long time since I looked at all the paperwork of how MLP got separated out. That happened back in, what, the 40s? 30s or 40s?
Right after they,
But that did not separate them. It made their functions separate, like the Golf Commission or the Wastewater and Water Commission. But they still have to come through the council. If somebody gets appointed to MLP's board, this council has to approve that, right?
True.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah, bylaws, I don't know.
I just thought it'd be a nice way to save some money and.
Yeah, we
can
did, we
something-
thought that 5 years ago.
Something logical. I mean, it's completely.
Jim thought that 20 years ago.
I think you're onto something, Phyllis. I think we have to obviously be smart about it, but maybe now's the time we push.
If it gets moved or changed, we'll have to name it the Jim Peterson Act.
Adam,
Hi.
How we doing? Sorry for that.
Oh, you just got
Apparently I
that.
don't have the right adapters, you know, they make how many different ones for these computers these days, I wish they make a universal one, but.
Be too simple.
And then they can only sell one, you know, like we only have one bill, so, you know.
That'd be nice. So what I wanted to do tonight was just kind of go through what our Center Avenue improvements are. We kind of have the layout pretty well finalized of what we want to do. Kind of a little bit of the background of this, you know, obviously it's Center Avenue from Old Highway 60 all the way up to the northern city limits. With that, we are putting in a 36-foot wide street. Throughout the corridor, there are a few blocks kind of on the south end there that there was a couple of them that were 34-foot wide and 2 blocks that were like 32-foot wide. So we are widening the street a little bit. I'd say that'd be about 3 blocks. We also are adding in a sidewalk along the whole corridor to provide a, you know, multimodal, you know, it's not just about the traveling public, it's also for pedestrians and bicyclists. This kind of goes into the safe routes to school that we've been looking at, that this will provide a nice corridor through town, kind of gets everybody, you know, we're only 1 block off from Benzel, but it's a nice corridor that it's going to be a little bit quieter than what Benzel is, so it, you know, promotes a little bit better there for pedestrians. Starting down here on the south end of the project, we're looking at, you know, extending a storm sewer all the way right down into the river. We're going to bring that up. With the sanitary too, we're starting right at the lift station here. Looking to evaluate that pipe that's actually going into the lift station. That is a kind of an oddball size pipe. I think it's a 16-inch. And then with the way that connection goes into the lift station itself, it doesn't promote the being able to be upsized there. So we're looking at just kind of leaving that pipe in and then just connecting on at this manhole out here and then going north with the trunk main. We're also, I should back this up. The orange line, that's all your storm sewer, you know, that's your surface water that's going down in that. The green line is going to be the city municipal sanitary system. Blue line here, that's the water main. So you'll see like some of these hydrants down here. And then we do have this purple line, or magenta line. This is the dedicated line for Tony Downs. So this is what we're running from their existing line out here where we'll connect onto, and then that'll run all the way up to to their Maddox site that's just south of the railroad tracks up there off of 3rd Avenue. So as you can see here, we're looking at this darker shaded gray here. This is where we're planning on doing a concrete roadway. Where we got this lighter shaded, that's just patching in with bituminous. So we're looking at right now going from Old Highway 60 up to 4th Street here, and then down 4th Street with concrete roadway. We identified these routes as what Tony Downs has been kind of running with their trucks, that we wanted to have a little bit more of a rigid pavement in those areas. This intersection here where they got the turning traffic, you can kind of go down and look at it right now, and it's pretty well beat up from that. So that's what we're looking at doing with the concrete. Also with the 4th Street here, you know, we're bringing some upsizing the storm sewer down here. They have some flooding areas that they were experiencing down here under loading docks, so this will help alleviate that. So continuing north, I should back this up. You know, this first block here, we're putting a sidewalk right on the back of the curb from Old Highway 60 to Fifth Street. The reason for that is kind of the tight constraints we got down here with this old building, some of the right-of-ways. We did have a meeting with Paul and Lori Helling about we need to acquire a little bit of a permanent easement down in this area to get that sidewalk put in. So we're kind of in the negotiating point with that. Would you say that correct, Chris? We had an initial meeting with them, so we let them think about that. Then when we get north of Fifth Street here, we're adding in that sidewalk here. We have a 5-foot boulevard and a 5-foot sidewalk. So this is all new sidewalk from Old Highway 60 all the way up to 3rd Street. So that's going to be the area where I would anticipate we'll have some residents that'll be concerned about getting sidewalk put in their front yards because they currently don't have it. As we keep moving north.
So, can you back up just a second?
Yep.
Go back to 4th Street, please.
Yep.
So anytime we get off Center or Main, I get a little nervous. Now we're gonna redo part of 4th Street because of Tony Downs. That was,
We're redoing it because we have undersized, storm sewer going through there. So all the water that comes from the north down, that undersized storm sewer on 4th right there needs to be ripped up.
Yeah, right in front of their loading, like kind of where that semi's at an angle.
Yep,
yeah, I
There's
copied
a
that.
storm sewer right there.
But we're also putting concrete on that road.
Yes.
yeah.
So how much does that cost add?
Concrete does add a cost to the project. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head for you of what that is for a square footage, but yes, there is a additional cost there. There's also an additional time during construction, you know, because I would say it probably adds another 3 weeks to the duration that a street is still open. You know, the concrete paving process is sometimes they can only do half the road and they gotta wait for that cure time before they can do the other half of the road. You know, there's maybe some staging they can do to speed that up, but, you know, if this is a 2-minute road, you can grade it out to the gravel, you know, the next day, then you can come in and put in, you know, your lift of asphalt and people can be driving on it, you know, that following day, if not that day. So yes, there is a kind of a component to it. Concrete pavement does have a longer design life. That's like a 35-year design life as opposed to, bituminous is more of a 20-year design life is what we do with that.
So at some point, it doesn't have to obviously be tonight. I would like to know what the cost magnitude of that is, because we're putting in a concrete street to help a local business, but the city is going to own that cost. What is that number-ish, is all I'm asking.
And you say it's to help a local business, but I also look at it from a maintenance standpoint though too. I mean, we can put in a beefier bituminous section in there. I think it's more for, like I say, a heavier street is gonna, with the concrete, with the rigid pavement, as opposed to beating up on a bituminous, there might be the maintenance cost that you're gonna save.
How many times in 35 years would you have to, or 20 years, or however the life is of bituminous that you would seal coat it? Do we do every 3 years?
I don't know what the city's current one is, every 7 years.
So, I mean, you have the cost of seal coating bituminous where on concrete you wouldn't.
And the potholes.
Correct. I mean, there's kind of a takeaway for either one, where it's,
So what you're saying,
bituminous is,
I wouldn't say it's a wash, but it's, as far as the city as a whole, I think it's definitely worth having that little bit of added cost, at the end of the day.
Did you also increase the size of the radiuses for the turn into that westbound?
Yeah, we did down here, I increased this one, that was one of the comments from the, city employees, I think, street department had that one, we increased one down here. I think we did one up on 4th Street North too. kind of facilitate that. They were saying that they were hopping that curve right down there. We also kind of shortened some up too because of, light pole issues or power pole. One other thing with, bituminous, that's a readily available product that the street guys are used to repairing, whereas opposed to concrete, when that comes time to repair, that's a little bit more sawing and more specialized, repairing there, with that. So, a couple of things to kind of keep in mind with that. Any other questions about Forest?
No, thank you.
Okay. So like I say, as we kind of continue up here, we're bringing all three utilities up. Sidewalk here, there's an existing sidewalk here, so we're just replacing sidewalk in kind, between third and second, same thing from second up to first.
On both sides you'll be redoing the sidewalk, I assume?
There's no sidewalk on the west side.
When you get from third, or second north, there is, right?
From second north there.
So,
Yeah.
from third to second, there is currently only sidewalk on the west
On one
side.
side, but when you get north of that, both sides will be
Correct.
replaced, right?
Do you have just because that's the block I live on, do you have, there's a large tree in that boulevard that's probably gotta be removed?
Our plan is with any boulevard trees, they'd all be removed.
This would be behind the boulevard, but probably in the sidewalk, it's lifted that sidewalk, I don't know if you've videoed it yet or walked it.
Where's that? And so it's
Mid-block,
Center.
on the east side, mid-block.
So,
Right, kind of just north of that house, actually,
right in here.
right in there.
Yeah, I would say if it's close to those improvements, I mean, if it's within the right of way, yes, we.
I would say half the, like, if you look at the panels are lifted probably a foot of the existing sidewalk.
Sure.
You're not gonna be able to put a new sidewalk next to it. It's probably gonna have to be a tree that comes down, just so you're aware.
Okay.
I don't know how many other tree removals you have in the design.
Like I say, anything that's probably within the right of way, we're talking about replacing or removing.
Sure.
My personal opinion on that, is that, I don't like to have those trees in that boulevard. We're putting in new improvements here. All the trees usually do is they grow up and then they start pumping up the sidewalk or they start moving that curb and gutter. So, about saving trees in a 5-foot boulevard, it's only a matter of time before they're gonna start moving those new ones, or new
I
improvements.
totally agree. I would say that, from a construction standpoint, it's easier to get rid of them and offer homeowners or whoever an option to replant or credit to replant than trying to put them back in the boulevard.
Correct. I'd like to see them, outside the right of way. If council decides to let them put it in the boulevard, find appropriate trees to go within there, the ones that are, sometimes you get those fast growing maples and they seem like the worst ones to work around.
Yeah.
Okay. Then with First Street here, we are going down about half the block here. The reason for that is we want to run this water main and upsize this back to where it comes out of the plant. Because with this project, we're upsizing this water main to a 12-inch water main to provide a bigger loop, through town. This will also help, with Tony Downs, they're kind of a big user of water. Getting a larger water down to that will help with the, other pressure issues we have elsewhere, so it's not pulling in from the other parts of, to the west side of town. It's got more of a nice big direct route there, so that should help with the pressure on that. So as we come up here, this is kind of the one that I think, zoom in here on Main Street. We're proposing to put in, bump outs here. The reason for that is we got, some sight distance issues up here. We got some extremely long crosswalks that go across there. The benefit of these bump outs is it shortens up that crosswalk. It gets the pedestrians out further so that you can, drivers can see them. They're not hidden behind the parked vehicles. You know, if you got some parallel parking here, they can get out there, they can see that traffic. We did do put truck turning templates in here to make sure that the semis can turn. They have to, you know, maneuver out into the other lanes, on some of these to make the corner. But I just don't see that there's as much semi-traffic in there. I know we got deliveries up to the, probably the liquor store and the grocery store, but, you know, for a truck that goes there, you know, a couple times a week, I think it's well worth kind of squeezing that in to help with the pedestrians.
I definitely concur with the one by the liquor store. You can't see anybody on the south side there. They're standing there to get across with a parked vehicle.
So we talk about this as a center main project. The only part of Main Street that's affected is what's shaded right there, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So from the grocery store, basically to the liquor store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. What else do I want to?
That's existing concrete, correct?
Out there, yep.
So does that parking lot get changed in any way for the grocery store?
That's a very good question. So this is what we're proposing on kind of a layout for the grocery store. Right now, let's go to this one. Right now they got there's an entrance here, there's an entrance here, there's an entrance here. Kind of the way that the parking lot lays out, you know, it's kind of hard to get into these parking stalls if, you know, there's other vehicles in there. So what we're looking at doing is closing this one here, having this one be the only one that comes off of Main, and then we'd have another one over here that comes off Center. And then we would re-rotate or reorientate the parking stalls along here so that everybody's parking, you know, I'd say perpendicular parking here. We haven't discussed this with the grocery store yet. With this layout too, they're not losing any stalls in what they have right now, and I think the flow and the functionality of this one works a lot better than what's currently there.
So, but you're also eliminating the angle parking in front? And
Correct.
Changing that to parallel?
With this parking up here right now, it's kind of two sets of a jog in this curb and gutter up here, where there's like two parallel parking stalls or one parallel parking stall, and then it goes into some angle parking here. We want to come in here and to kind of help facilitate this, we just run this right through and then we just do parallel parking along there.
And it looks like you'd also be cutting the width of that curb cut down substantially.
This one here,
The one on the east side?
this one here.
Okay, let me see it. I can't really see.
The one where you come out of the pharmacy drive.
Right. That
Right
one.
here? Yep. No, I don't, that one's still
It's more settled.
I know it's at least a 26 entrance, so that's plenty of room for, you know, two vehicles to get in and out of there.
Okay. The other curb cut looks like it's been shifted
This here,
away from the one on Main.
It's further south.
You're on Center on the west side, yeah.
correct, yep, it's moved south right now, it's right up by the building.
Yep.
So I would say with, you know, this on Main Street and with the grocery store parking lot, that's probably the kind of the biggest changes that we're, you know, proposing. Otherwise, you know, for the most part, you know, other than those few blocks where we're widening it out, it's pretty much kind of going back in, almost as is.
So the businesses on the south side, is there gonna be access during all this time then? For to get foot traffic in there, to like the hardware store and bakery?
Those are our upcoming meetings also.
Yep, we'll talk about that with them. There's been different ways contractors have, you know, gone about this. You know, sometimes they'll leave the existing sidewalk in and then they'll put a, you know, a fence says at least leave 5 feet, there. They can kind of do their improvements then. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be a time when we come back and put in the new concrete right in front of there that, yes, you're not gonna have access to that. I've also seen it where they've come in and ripped it out right away and put in concrete, put in the new improvements. That gets kind of challenging with if you're coming in and putting in new services that, it just doesn't align with that. But yes, we would make every effort to keep the businesses open, and access to the front. But at some time, there's gonna be a point where they're not gonna be able to get in front of those.
Do it on a Monday.
And same thing with the grocery store, this would be a staging, we can't shut them down and say, no, there's no access to that. I mean, so we look at, those staging wise, they could only close down one of these entrances. So once this one gets open, then they can do work along Center, vice versa. Deliveries, that's gonna be another issue there too, that, they take in deliveries back here, at some point, look at all the utilities we got going on in there, they're not gonna be able to get in there, so it's gonna be coordinating what they're, can they bring it in through the front for, a week or two, how soon their deliveries are, but that's kind of the point of the meeting we'll have with them, and then we'll stage that appropriately.
Is that an area, in the bid or in the final processes or anything that would be, the contractor would know that that's kind of prioritized, like when they get there, get in and get out type of thing?
Yeah, we put that in the phasing, put in requirements, like for this, we'd say one of these entrances has to stay open at, all times. Same thing here, it's, we can put a timetable on it that says, they have X number of days to do this block, or, you have to coordinate with the grocery store on deliveries. It might even be the liquor store here too. I know we'll have alley access back here, but, that can be kind of limited. I'm not sure where they take in their deliveries.
Well, all the business on the south side too, deliveries there.
Yep, we got the, down here, we don't have this shown in here, but we're gonna, look at redoing this parking lot too, stub in this sanitary, so that'll be kind of the same thing there that, we don't wanna cut off access to them on both sides, so, staging is it'll be a challenge on this, but, we'll get it. Any other questions with kind of the main street, grocery store?
So is everything else that's in the ground on Main Street solid? The reason I asked that is because when we originally talked about this was a Center Main project. It's not a Center Main project, it's a Center Street project. It affects a little bit of Main Street. So is everything else in the water wastewater
Street project.
Is that?
It's always just Center Street, but a little bit of Main is there.
The reason why it was Main,
How do we told Center?
Glenn, the reason why it was, the main was because we gotta make this little jog here because of the offset intersection.
So this is all about Center Street, so is everything else?
We had to actually physically go and actually put down what we were actually doing.
Okay.
When we sent it up to MnDOT and everything, they wouldn't have approved anything if it didn't correlate to the same thing that I submitted to the Capitol.
So everything else on Main Street is solid?
Yes.
For the most
Everything west.
part, yeah.
Where the fire was.
Well, I'm worried about east.
This was all that was ever proposed. Nothing, it was, when you write out everything, that is what I wrote out.
Okay.
Yep.
Traffic, thank you.
So then we work up here.
Kathy, what do you got?
Well, I was just, because I shop at the grocery store and I was looking at parking, but you're talking about not
We have
to go that way.
This way.
We have to be careful on what we say about the parking lots, please, because we have not had our meetings with all the property owners. We're just showing you what we're proposing. If the property owner there does not agree upon it, or it could be different. So, Kathy, let's hear what your thoughts are on it.
Well, I was just looking at if there's only one way in and one way, that,
It's still two-way traffic. You can come in and go out this entrance and this entrance, so it's not a one-way in, you don't have to come in off of Center and have to go out on Main. You can come in and leave on Main, and you can come in and leave on Center.
I park up there a lot, I'm going, I can see all kinds of problems. And I really try to go up there during the day when there isn't much traffic, because it's crazy up there.
But how many,
Sets of lines are there?
accidents are there up there? I mean, it seems like there's quite a few now with the way it is, so.
And that's what we're looking at doing, with this other entrance being right here, it's kind of offset a little bit from this intersection that, and it's in the proximity here, and with this one here, there's just a lot of.
Well, in all reality, it brings it back to when the old Forstner building used to be where the pharmacy is now. There's only 2 entrances there in the parking lot to the grocery store then.
We had even more accidents back then, so it has actually got better since the pharmacy opened, but there's still quite a few in there.
Well, this is an opportunity, I would argue, for us to have a traffic engineer study what right looks like and help lay it out that way. So I think going forward, this is going to be a good thing, because that, to your point, Kathy, that's a mess up there sometimes.
Well, yeah.
And I think this is going to straighten that out. And we had, what I would argue, our professionals saying, this is the best way to do what you got with where you are.
I just know driving a larger vehicle, it is very hard for me to get into this. Okay, if I'm on Main, coming from here, so I'm going west, it is very hard for me to pull into the second entrance and try to park my truck in one of those stalls.
Yeah.
So if I was able to come in, and there was only the one entry, and come in and actually park this way, that would flow better. Because even when you have somebody that doesn't park just right in there, it screws up everything.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that, there's gotta be a better, I'm just asking.
Well-
Oh, absolutely. No, I don't go up and shop after school, because you can't find a park.
Yeah, you go by there
Trying to back out of those parking
on a
places.
Friday at 5.
You're lucky there isn't been somebody really injured up there.
Well, do you know what the handicap requirements are so those first 3 spots on the north next to the building will probably have to be handicapped? I know there's 2 now, 2 or maybe 3.
There's only 2.
I think they had two kind of right here, so that's why I kind of put them on both sides.
Oh, on both sides.
There's supposed to be 2 because the sign faces both ways.
I think the requirements, if they're under, it's 1 per 25. I think they're under 25 stalls here, so I mean, they could get by with 1, but.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine no matter what the final design is. The traffic lane being open to the pharmacy is probably the more important part.
Correct, and there's, we could extend some parking stalls down this way a little bit, but I know they got some, outlets that they put in there also. So, it's kind of up to them if, they want to utilize that more for parking, and, there's an opportunity maybe to put this, if this is the drive-through here, and something in here. It's kind of dead, this is kind of a little bit of dead space in here, but.
But who knows, Corey might have a completely different layout that he's been dreaming for years, and he might surprise us.
Yeah, obviously, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And with Main Street being a county road too, we talked with the county engineers on this, and they bought in on the concept, so.
My question is just, are people who are actually shopping up there, and you guys are looking at how many you shop up there?
I shop up there.
That's the only place I shop.
That's the only place I grocery shop.
Well, it's just what there's like grocery shop too, so. I can just see problems, picking up your pharmacy things, because I do use that and trying to exit out of there and having people coming in there.
But
It's a wide enough driveway. so
But are
it
they
should
coming
meet.
in there right now?
Yeah, they are.
Because that's where I come in.
So
when I go there,
I'm the one that you're taking away, but.
I go into the first one, the pharmacy one.
So do I.
And who knows, it could be a thing where Corey says he only wants cars coming in one side.
And
Yeah.
that could be,
You know.
yeah, I get that.
So I guess it would, I mean, of course, it's up to them on how they want their property laid out, but.
Okay. So with this layout too, I think we're losing maybe 1 or 2 stalls here along Main Street, but.
There's 4 angles right now and 2 parallel.
So I got 6 there, so that'd be a wash.
But you're losing at least one of the bump out of the stall.
Yeah, because there used to be
Down
2,
here,
Yeah.
yes.
well, also on the
north
west side of
it,
that parking.
No, that goes in.
this is.
But there would be another one now in front of it.
Yeah. What's that?
There would be another one parallel that would be in front of it, behind like where that white car is sitting.
And actually, the
west
bump
side.
out on the south might be yellow, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's a bed grass in there.
No, this one right here, this curb line comes in right where the, first existing stripe is, so we're not losing one over here. Because there is a state statute that says that you can't have parking within, like this, it's gotta be 20 feet away from the crosswalk, so people aren't backing into that crosswalk. Any other questions about the downtown area? Okay.
As far as the right of way there, by the grocery store, is the curb and sidewalk being replaced all the way to the store? Heading north and south?
North and south here?
Yeah, so pretty much that section looks like it's all the way
It'll be
to,
replaced right to the building.
right to the building.
Correct. And then some of that has to do with, making, when we put the sidewalk in, it has to be ADA compliant, so that means we gotta have at least a 5-foot wide stretch that's at 1.5%. So we might have some spots where it's nice and flat and then we make up a little bit of the grade in what we call like the furniture zone or the sign zone right in there. So that might have a little bit more of a steepness to it, but, right now, along Main Street, some of the sidewalk is at 6% cross slope.
Yeah.
So, you think about that, you're already 4 times as much that ADA is, ADA requirements.
As far as the roof leads off of the grocery store right now, are they tied in directly to the storm sewer or not?
I guess I don't have an answer for that one, Andy.
And those are some of the questions that we will be discussing with some of the property owners. I know we had a discussion with Mike Anderson in regards to his property and stuff. And as we set up these meetings, we will be discussing, those different items that we need to be aware of before day and end.
You want to start at 7?
Okay. So then, another street we're looking at doing here is, First Street, going all the way down to Benzel, bringing this all the way back. A little bit of we're gonna add in some curb and gutter here by the post office, kind of reorientate that so that, they can sell the drop box will still be there, but, it's kind of a wild west in that corner right now without any curb and gutter and parking, so just trying to define that a little bit better. You're replacing that, and then we're also looking at the First Street, to the east here, down to the school. We'll be replacing the sidewalk on both sides there and, extending some sanitary sewer down here. Currently, we have some of these houses and these houses up here, we got sanitary lines that go in the back that we've tried to investigate by doing televising and, it's unknown who goes to there and where it goes and what that condition of that pipe is. So what we're proposing to do is run the sanitary down here and the water, and then we would sub out services for them so that if something ever happens with these lines that go, these mystery lines that go in the backyards, we'd have the opportunity then to bring them around to the front, and then they can connect into that, and those other ones can be abandoned.
Are you thinking those existing services run to center though? Through the backyard?
No, they go over here to Adams.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a sanitary manhole right here, and then it runs back, but we don't know, is it the whole block, is it only like the first 5? There is a sanitary line that comes this way and kind of runs in the boulevard here, but like I say, we can't get in there the televising, they couldn't get through the line, they got some obstruction in there, and they couldn't go any further, so. Without kind of digging it up and investigating that way, we really don't, it's kind of an unknown.
That particular stretch of road is used for parking for that church quite a bit, I assume. Is that gonna be something where that road is gonna be pretty tight when you're parked on both sides? It's gonna stay about the same size?
I believe this one was gonna, I think we widened this one out.
Widen it?
I have to double check on that, but. Okay. And like I say, as we kind of continue on north, we're replacing, concrete road coming down first, continuing to the north here. Here's the purple line, that one goes into 20 ounces facility there. We are looking at removing this sidewalk on the west side of Center from 2nd North. The reason for that is that once you get up into here, if you ever go up here and you see the trucks parked in here, back up the loading docks, they're kind of right out onto the street and, kind of into that curb and gutter. So didn't really want to promote pedestrian traffic up through there just to have to walk around the semi trucks. So we're looking to promote that pedestrian traffic on the east side here. Then with the railroad crossing, we're looking at getting that improved and getting, concrete panels put in there. We have a sidewalk crossing here too, running through there. We'll have to bring the utilities through, so we gotta go through all the wonderful permitting process with the railroad to get these, get the storm sanitary and water across there, so.
Just a question.
Yep.
First thing I thought of, but like the sidewalks there right by the tracks and everything, who's responsible for the storm removal on those? Would that be the property owner then?
Who is the property owner, the railroad?
Yeah.
So I would probably say the city.
Okay.
I don't see anybody else coming through there and cleaning that off.
Okay.
With this too, this was slated to get signals put in. We met with the MnDOT rail office. They're looking at 2029 is when that's going to get put in. They looked at accelerating that to match up with our project, and with this signal being that close to the one on Benzel, they're going to have to tie those together, so they didn't feel like they could move that up. But we'll have this all designed to make sure that that signals can get put in, with gates coming down and the lights. For the time being, until 2029, we just have the same condition we have now with the stop signs and the crosswalks there. And as we continue north, this is where we'll stop the concrete road at 4th. And then from here on, it'll be the 2 minutes road. And then we're bringing utilities right up to right down here to the city limits.
So I do have 2 critical questions.
Yes.
The first is, when we start talking about First Street, that wasn't in our initial proposal.
Yes, it was.
It was? Okay, that's news to me, bad on me. Is this still under budget for what we're receiving from the state?
We, as an engineer's estimate right now, we're in budget, but we don't know what the bids are gonna be brought in. So when the bids start coming in, when we go out to bid, it could be that we might have to cut back on a few things, or it could mean that we could add a few things.
Okay. But we're not gonna have to go back to the state and ask for more like Vernon Center had.
They won't, I don't think they'll give us.
They will, so we'll do the best we can with what we get.
Okay. The second question is, what does this do to the assessments of those that live on Center Street?
There are no.
There is no assessment.
Okay, so this does not go against those owners.
You guys have already decided that you are not going
Yeah.
to assess this project.
Tremendous.
Yeah, so to your first question, what we're looking at doing here is this, once we did this,
Can I ask one thing? Can we have Daisy go, and then we only have 4 minutes left in the workshop right now? Can we pick up with Adam after the council meeting? Is that possible?
Yeah.
It's up to Adam.
Adam, are you okay?
He's getting paid by the hour.
Then we can end, otherwise we're gonna go into our council meeting.
5 minutes in.
cows might get hungry, but that's fine.
Okay.
Daisy's here to discuss, her upcoming, event. So what I have is you're having a party on October 26th from 4 to midnight. Live music will be played from 4 to 10. You want to give, the council kind of a brief overview of your party?
Just a wedding that we're having, and we're celebrating it in my backyard. I just wanted to see or ask for permission to have the music and permission to do so.
So the music has to be, the noise has to be done 10 o'clock, Rob, is that correct?
It's, up to,
Well, what's the noise ordinance right now?
noise ordinance doesn't really have a time limit on it,
Oh.
it's basically 50 feet, 24/7, so she's coming to you asking for a variance on that, depending on the hours that she wants to run it, with the council giving her the permission, basically, have a variance for the evening for the music.
Do you know if you've talked to your neighbors at all
Well,
about?
I was gonna send out a letter, but I did let, Park Shore know, just because they were the ones that I was really more worried about.
Have you gotten any
Tell them to turn their
feedback?
hearing aids all down. or-
Have you gotten any feedback yet from them at all?
I let Carrie know, she said she would just let them know for in the newsletter that she sends out, just to, alert them ahead of time. And then she'd remind them again.
I think it would be fine, I guess, if there's multiple complaints, there's probably gonna be an officer there that says to tone it down a little bit, but
And I don't foresee it being excessively bad or anything.
okay.
Do we want to give her a
Rob,
timeline?
you're actually giving the instructions to Rob.
Would you like us to give her a timeline?
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the main thing that we're looking for, so, obviously we want her to be able to have her event, we're just gonna be the ones fielding the phone calls from the neighbors, and as I told Daisy when we talked, the best thing she can do is let the neighborhood know that this is gonna be going on, that it's a one-time thing, and these are the hours that we're gonna be running it, so they already have some notification of it. But we're looking for some coverage from the council basically to authorize it because it's going to be in violation of the ordinance. So we want to make sure she can do it without having us at her door all night long fielding the complaints. So it's easier for us to tell the public it's been authorized, this is the time it's going to go to. If it becomes excessive, we get lots of complaints, then we can try and work with her to tone it down a little bit, but we don't want to be coming in and giving citations or anything like that.
Is it an early wedding or late afternoon
Or
or evening?
4 to 10, 4 to 11.
Okay. So do we want to give her till, say, 10:30 and say the music has to be at a minimum or done?
What she's asking.
But she said 4 to 10, 4 to 11.
Yeah, what I say, well, based on this, I say we cut it off at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, make more 10.
And then we let the event, is if there's just people there, that's just fine. You know,
Yeah.
is that okay for you? We don't want to ruin a wedding, but we want to, you know, let your neighbors know that we're not letting you just free range here. And
I think if there's, and I don't know if there's any young kids in the neighborhoods, but, typically you're gonna, run into that quiet time after 8 o'clock for kids, but, if it runs to 10 on a Saturday night, I think that's probably more reasonable. If it starts getting later than that, then you're probably gonna have more.
So do we need to, can we just put this in a workshop, or do we need to put it on the agenda?
Do you need a national approval on this?
Yeah, we've always, like, block parties.
Yeah.
I think just put it on the
We've
agenda.
always done it if we block the roads.
Yeah.
Right, but I think it's the same concept.
Yeah, I think we've done it.
The roads are being blocked, I don't think it changes the authorization.
Okay. All right. More 10? Okay, we'll close the workshop and go right into council, start with the pledge. Well, sorry that, I should have done that, we're gonna reconvene.
Reconvene the workshop.
Oh. So.
I make a motion that we reconvene the workshop.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay.
What?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I mean, now repetition's going over the Thank you. Absolutely, Daisy. Congrats. Are you getting married or friends?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Best wishes to you.
Call the council meeting to order. Get approval for the consent items with 2 additional administrative items.
I make a motion that we approve the consent items.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and take appropriate action on liability coverage waiver for the LMC insurance, and we do this every year. Make a motion to approve that waiver.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and take appropriate action on public hearing for assessing all delinquent fees for services due 2025 taxes on October 28th at 6 p.m.
I make a motion that we have the public hearing on the 28th.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and take appropriate action on Travis Geyer's request for $18,000 from Fund 52 for demoing light property at 122 Center Avenue South.
I'll make a motion that we approve Mr. Guy's request for $18,000 for demolition of the property at 122 Center Avenue South from Fund 52.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on that? How much money is in Fund 52, do you know?
Celia will go over that with you at the next, meeting, because it's the EDA meeting, so she'll give you all the financials on that. I wouldn't have took the 18,000 if Celia didn't give you okay.
Right. I'm just wondering if now it would set a precedent, we should just make it a policy that quote unquote delinquent buildings or desolate buildings or buildings that are
And
a
it's
public nuisance, or however you want to describe it, are, an option is to remove them, and we have funds in Fund 52 to do it, but we'll just set up a policy to actually allow it.
Yep, and I think that's kind of what she's gonna come back and ask you for anyways.
Okay.
We didn't know this was going to be an option. I mean,
No, but my guess is as word gets out that this is an option.
and that's kind of why Travis showed up on my doorstep.
Right.
So,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and take appropriate action on the clubhouse demo bids pending further approval from insurance.
from insurance and
And FEMA.
FEMA.
Okay. We have total lawn care with $7,940. Kelly and Sons with $12,780, and Rochka Excavation with $19,900. And that's what council goes with low bid.
I make a motion to accept the low bid with the conditions of what we need from insurance and fuel.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and take appropriate action for Daisy Manriquez at 14 Cox Avenue Northwest on October 26th. She'll have live music from 4 to 10.
I make a motion that we accept.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Citizens communication. Nothing but smiles. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah. And then reconvene,
Who's second on that?
Workshop.
reconvene the workshop. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And it's all yours again.
That'd be one of the fastest council meetings I've ever been.
Oh, I know.
Let's go.
That was-
We're just a little over double than usual.
Don't have much left. I mean, with this, what we're looking at, we gotta stay within our budget here, but, we do have opportunities to, scale back on, concrete or eliminate, a block of the street. So, we'll be having some of those conversations, once we, hone in, get a final kind of cost estimate to kind of see where we can play with those numbers and.
So on that first and center north, where you have like the post office and the old post office,
Yep,
that's gonna be plenty big enough to make a dedicated truck route?
correct. So that's where the truck route is right now, is down First, turning here and going north.
We don't wanna move that to Second Street north?
They do it now all the time.
Holy cow. Way to poke that bear.
There never seems to be any of that cop around and you want
So, just to make sure, I think some of the.
Like a trail camera out there, catch.
Is that to take out like the bump outs on Main Street, stuff like that?
No, I think we need.
No, I would say with the, cost cutting measures would be is scaling back how much we're doing with concrete. Maybe we look at just doing bituminous on that, there'll be some cost savings there. The other things we could do is, we just eliminate this block. Looking at kind of the side streets, we got, there's 2 blocks on First Street. We got this other one on First Street and then down on Fourth, from a, standpoint, which one of those 4 blocks could you eliminate? I guess in my opinion, it would be this block at First Street North.
But wouldn't we be shooting ourselves in the foot, especially with the unknowns of those blockage going through the backyard?
Correct. I mean, be honest with you, when we're looking at a lot of the utilities throughout this corridor, it's been a challenge of figuring out what's going on, where stuff is going. We've done some televising through the storm. We're seeing sanitary services that the pipes go right on through the storm and think that it connects back into the sanitary, that kind of thing. The challenge with that is, Second and First, this used to be a combined sewer where it was both the storm and the sanitary went to the same thing. Then they got we found some plans where they tried to separate them out, did all the connections get, made to the appropriate spot? It's hard to know, but yes, there's gonna be a few unknowns when we're out here digging that we won't have all the answers.
And I'm sure you have the areas, but it'd be nice to know what would be the best cutting of if we needed to.
Yeah. I think that this street this block of First Street, that would probably be the first one. Down here at First, I think this is a kind of a critical loop to get back to the plant, so really want to cut this one out. This other one down here, getting a storm sewer line brought down on this one and getting a larger water main, to me, this is on board. That'd be a higher priority, but like I say, I think that's up for discussion.
From a contract execution standpoint, what kind of timeframes are you talking? Maybe end 2026 construction season, like October, November?
Correct. What I'm looking at would be bidding this winter, and then we'd allow them to start up, come this spring. Give them 2 years, the 2025 and 2026 season to do the construction on this. And then within that, kind of leave it open to them. Sometimes contractors like when they got some flexibility. You might get someone that comes in and hits this all hard the first year and then, leaves a little bit for the following year, or they'll just, take off a little portion, a couple blocks or 5 blocks the first year, and then they'll do the rest of the following year. Leave it up to them.
The only thing that, and you maybe have already considered it, would be like, closure allocations for Main Street or where they only have a 30-day window for those particular intersections or whatever.
Correct.
Just so that they're concentrating on getting those reopened.
Yep, and that would be, when we get in these higher priority areas, it's, time is of the essence to get these reopened back up. So yes, we would put some kind of time frames on that. Once you start removals on this, you got kind of X number of days to get that back open to traffic and.
The least amount of disturbance for the businesses is what I want.
Correct. And unfortunately, there is going to be disturbances. There's no way around it. But
The least amount.
And with residents too, you got some of them, it's their front yards, down here, you got driveways that come in off of this. They might not necessarily have alley access, they're parking on the side street and walking through yards. We can't guarantee that you're gonna get into your driveways all the time.
The other, thing that, and maybe it's already part of the contract, would be is if there are any phone lead services that have to be replaced to the house at the time of them being found, or something along that lines, just so that.
What we've done in the past is that, yes, we put in the service, we would notify the homeowner of that and then see if they want that to get that replaced.
Okay.
Sometimes we would give them like a year to do it, but yes, they would want to.
Is that something where that can be assessed to their taxes?
That is a little bit more extensive. We don't want to be the plumber on that job. We don't want to dig into their property and then have to do the line all the way back into their house. That would be something that they would have to hire their own plumber to do. Gotta be really careful on that.
Yeah, no, I just didn't.
I think there is a mechanism that you could get them to sign a consent to assessment that they could hire a plumber, and if it's a financial burden or they want to put that on it, then
We
you
could do
could.
something like that.
Isn't there something going on?
Yeah, I was just asking.
Getting the lead out.
That's a good
I
question.
mean, if you're gonna require them to have it done in a year when they can't afford it,
Right,
that's
a great question.
Chris,
Adam and I will discuss that, and the reason for that is just previous projects that I've been on that have had some issues, and there's certain things that you don't want to tap into. You kind of want the property owner to.
Yeah, and I don't care who
Yeah.
does it. I'm just saying the cost part of it.
isn't there grants out there too for Minnesota to get the lead out?
And we can look into that, Julie and I can look into that and see what we can find for the homeowners. Yep.
How old is the existing infrastructure? Do we know? Did we have a year on it?
I can answer that from Main Street.
Yeah, Main Street, it's not there.
Yeah, 72 half a block.
Yeah, I know, but, yeah, the rest.
Center, I don't know, but Main Street's 72.
91.
Main Street's 90.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought they did.
Really?
I do know that, we popped some of the sanitary manholes here in South End, and it's, brick-built manholes, so, I mean, that vintage maybe 40s, 50s. I've seen some down there where they like tree roots are growing in them, so it's, yeah.
Is it fair to say that, so the bid goes out, we select the contractor, the contract starts, we're talking construction season 2025. At that point, will we know how this is gonna flow?
Correct. At the beginning, we'd have a pre-construction meeting before anything happens. We'd ask them to provide us with a schedule of, when their plan, what their plan is of attack, or, how hard you're gonna hit it.
Yeah, we can't answer that now, obviously, because we don't have a contract.
Correct.
Once that happens, then we'll, okay, perfect, thank you.
Yes, and you don't want to put such a tight time frame on it, because then the bid prices go up too, so if you can give them a little bit of flexibility with time, we've seen that be a lot better bids.
No, I'm tracking that totally, I'm just looking for, once they know, what does this look like? So we can start to talk about it.
And obviously that all is weather dependent, we're looking at some of the improvements that are down by the river, so, depending on how high the river is, it might determine when they can start, and, hopefully we don't have another June like we did this year.
Because of this being main trunk into the lift station, or are we thinking there's gonna be a pretty good amount of bypass pumping?
Correct.
And both is doing inspecting on the project?
Correct. Any other questions or comments?
I saw on Main Street, go down to the drugstore. I'm on board of Enterprise, and those sidewalks are uneven. They've been complaining about that for years. Are they all going to be replaced, or is there a cost to Enterprise for that?
We are showing this going down. I think Enterprise has got a stoop there, so we basically replace all the concrete around that stoop. We won't get into that.
Yeah, nobody could assess for,
I'm saying the sidewalks around Enterprise, both sides, Center and Main, are Union.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. But yeah, it's kind of drawn in here in this.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
did you have a comment on end services and what the actual number of services on that project?
How many services? I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, you're on around some assessment numbers.
No, I'm just wondering what their chances of not having any lead are gonna be. Probably decent. There's no lead in town.
We're fine.
That's fine.
We're
Did
fine.
they find any of the lead inventory then?
We'd have to ask Wade in regards to,
I was told there's no lead in town.
Oh, okay. There's no lead in town.
Okay.
But even, I don't have lead, I have something else. Michelle was saying that we gotta get replaced to the cast, is it cast?
You're right,
Cast is fine.
So, any other questions from you guys tonight?
I would make a motion to close the workshop.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion